So switching from one big, very explosive left-handed pitcher to another, and Peyton Tolle. So
embarrassment of riches right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I remember the first show we did, you were talking about how good the Red Sox org was. It was before the Devers trade, before a bunch of stuff that they did.
Yep.
And here we are. They moved all these guys up. Most of them are still, most of them are still there. They've now moved up Tolle, who was not the prospect you heard about at that time when we first did that show, because he had the 3 position players, but then he moved up to be the number 2 overall prospect. Now he's here. And you have you have the Savant page.
Yep.
I'm looking at a Stuff Plus graphic.
Yep.
And I'm seeing just 5-1. Brant Herter from Detroit, Cam Schlittler from New York Yankees, Garrett Crochet, Tarik Skubal, these two, and then Tolle right on top.
So it goes Tolle, Skubal, Crochet.
Right. And Tolle.
The next 2 guys, highest pitcher WAR in the game. And so comparable to better stuff is what it's saying, right? Based on that small sample.
Yep.
But that small sample, it's not like taking a small, 10 at-bat sample. TrackMan data picks up what's happening.
Yep.
Like, you don't need some massive sample for that to stabilize. So that means that he's entering Major League Baseball with some of the best pure stuff and left-handed in all of baseball right now. And that looks right, man. We can pull some videos up, but
that's what I wanted to ask you about.
That looks right.
And sorry, Tolle, I was saying Tolle. So you look at the size of this dude. What do they have him listed as here?
6'6",
250.
6'6", 250.
And then you go down.
That was probably a drafted weight too, so that's probably a little heftier than that now even.
Well, you look at the other guys on this list. So Skubal.
Yep.
He's not as tall, but he's tall enough and he's big.
Big dude.
Crochet's huge.
Yep.
Schlittler's huge on the right side. And then back to the left-handed side, Brant Herter, another big dude. So these are all big guys with that stuff plus. I know we always think about
Skeens isn't on that list, but
you
can keep
Yuri Perez. So it's interesting. We talk so much about the
Freddie Peralta is not in that category, and he's in the 99th percentile
right.
too.
And there's always the Pedro Martinez example or Walker.
More outliers, it feels to me though, than what you're seeing, which is the argument I think you're trying to make. And I go back to Stan Meek. If you ever hear the show, he used to say pitching, buy it by the pound, get big physical boys to because you need to, especially for starting pitchers, to hold the workload that needs to happen there. But Peyton Tolle is really, really interesting in terms of, I think we're seeing something really unprecedented overall across the game, and guys getting to the big leagues so fast.
Right.
Guys jumping out of college. This guy was a 2-way player in college, pretty good 2-way player.
Oh yeah.
And then the arm just kind of ran, kind of sprinted way ahead of the bat and had a really dominant, I think, last year pitching at TCU.
Yep.
But falls seemingly to the second round, 50th overall pick in the 2024 draft. And then really gets there. Seemingly a 2-way guy should have a lot of pitching development left. A lot of polish that needs to be rounded out before you can just pitch this way in the big leagues. But
let's start with the obvious, right? So if you look at his scouting report from college, which had him as a top 4-round talent, obviously goes in pick 50.
Yep.
Sitting 90 to 92.
Yep.
Touching 95, 96. Going to the Savant page here as a major league player. Again, it's early. Fastball velo, 81st percentile with an average of 96 miles an hour. So touching
big velo jump.
Yeah, touching 96, now sitting 96.
Yep.
Which again, some of the things you talked about. 2-way, big, athletic. You can see how that could come together.
Shohei Ohtani has blurred 2-way for us completely. I think we need to stop and take a beat and be like, this is so difficult, especially as a starting pitcher, to do what he's doing because doing the 2-way thing, you have split attention, and the attention is going to go to the position you play every day. The bat, the position player side is going to get the lion's share of it. So to also develop as a pitcher is incredibly difficult to do both at a really high level. That's why I think, again, Shohei has spoiled us because it doesn't make sense what he breaks the brain completely as a starter. Most guys, most starting pitchers, ask them how they feel the day after a start or 2 days after a start. And if they're ready to go out there and take hacks and perform offensively at a high level. So Shohei doing what he does and run the bases. So we shouldn't allow that to skew this. But I think what we're seeing here is a two-way guy deciding to focus on pitching and then being like athletic enough to make the transition very quickly and to bridge the gap all the way, especially command and as a starter. He flew through, I was looking it up, like I'm going to go to his baseball reference page, because he just they started him in Greenville in high A ball. It wasn't like it was like an obvious jump to put this guy in AAA. So what he did over the course of this 2025 season, I think it's a snapshot. If you're in an amateur scouting department and a player development system, that's a dream scenario, right? Like it's a dream scenario to have drafted a guy last year, two-way player in the second round, slightly over slot. So that means you wanted him. You reached a little to get him to make sure nobody else got him behind you. And then in his first professional season, he rips through Greenville, 49 innings in Greenville, 79 strikeouts. Did not belong in Greenville immediately, right? Goes right into Portland AA, 37 punches in 27 innings, and then gets to AAA and has like, once you've gone through AA, AAA is not supremely more talented than AA.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you can make the argument AA might have more talent sitting there. AAA is meant for guys, yes, prospects getting there, also guys that have bounced up and been bounced back.
Right.
There's more like veterans, crafty types playing, but it's not. Once you're in AA, there's some more talented players playing in AA than there are across AAA.
Yeah.
So once he did that in AA, and then like a couple hot stints in AAA, you're like, well, what's left here? And the Red Sox, they need it. So kudos to them for starting the clock. They didn't have to pull this. It's not that, they didn't have to do it this way, but he was so good at 22 years old already that he's pitching in a postseason run for the Boston Red Sox and showing up with better stuff than Garrett Crochet. And I'm not saying he's better than Garrett Crochet overall, but
right.
And then Danny, what you and I talk about all the time, you pull his video up, man. It fucking looks right.
Well, I was going to ask you about this. So on the visual scout, I'm picturing going against this guy and then going against Chapman, who we just talked about right after. But both guys, you're talking
Great
about
mustache.
You're talking about extension, which they keep track of on
Yes.
Baseball Savant. Chapman at 6'4", 235.
Yep.
He's at 97th percentile. Obviously, the velocity is on a whole different plane than everybody else. Yep. But 97th percentile extension, and then Tolle, 99th percentile extension on that big body. So just the release and everything else, how does that factor into the whole equation on top of the stuff which you mentioned comes up at a very, very high level?
You've been to a batting cage?
Absolutely.
Right. So like if you put a machine, like, is it going to be harder to hit if you put it closer to you or further away?
Right.
Right. So like these guys that get elite level extension, it's like a ball getting on you. It's what guys used to say about Randy Johnson. It's what they must say about Mizurowski.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that shit's on me already. And it's just, I have no time. And I think that that's what extension does. And that's where, yes, the bigger physical guys, they're literally closer to you on the mound. And sometimes a big body can hide the ball well. There's more like mass for it to like all of a sudden like rip out of nowhere. It comes out of the shoulder slot and you have no time to adjust for it. Now there are guys that extension to me is also an indicator of getting through a baseball. So you like a lot of pitching coaches want you to stay behind the baseball and rip through it. If you start to pull off of it at any point or start to turn as a lefty to turn right or as a righty to turn left, you start to get off being behind the baseball. And I think that the guys that get good extension, it tells you that they're really like holding that directional plane towards home. That I think is a good, better pitches live there than when you have less extension. You can get away with it with less extension and still do other things. You don't have to be elite in extension to have good outputs. But when you have elite extension, it helps you have better outputs.
There's a million variables involved in this, so I'm asking you to overgeneralize.
Sure.
But if you have a two-way player in college who's a left-handed thrower and he's in the 90 range, which this guy was sitting 90, 91, 92. He was not what he is now.
Yeah.
How good do they have to be as a position player to not push him in the pitching direction when they're a lefty in that range? Because it seems like with him, it wasn't always a sure thing he was going to go the pitching route. So like if you're a scout advising these kids, at what point, I know there's a million factors involved, but like how do you sitting in let's put your Club 31 hat as a consultant and you're advising the player. How do you make that decision? What are the things you're looking at with a guy that can throw 90s left-handed?
You have to make your best guess at a projection, right? Like, do you think it's going to be a pretty good hit tool with some power? Or is it going to be an elite arm? Like, where's the real impact going to come? Right. And And is the bat costing the arm, is like the opportunity cost of not developing the arm the way a pitcher can if he just specialized? Like I said, the position player side will dominate the pie in terms of, if you're a two-way guy, you're mostly a position player. You may relieve, you may do some reliever stuff. Again, Shohei Ohtani.
Right.
Let's put him aside in a different category, but it's just not, it's not an easy thing to develop a two-way player or develop a development plan for a two-way player to have some success. So, and the individual college program, he probably was one of the best 9 bats in on his roster. So you want him there because he can help you win baseball games. In college, you're trying to win baseball games. You're not just trying to tee him up for major league success. Although I think the best college programs do both simultaneously. And so, you know, if your college team needs you and you're one of the boys and you want to, like, you know, your bat is helping, but you can also contribute on the mound. I'm sure Peyton Tolle had agency in his decision to stay a position player as long. There's probably some stubbornness to want to keep hitting. And I'm sure if you ask him, looking at how he competes, he probably, you know what? I'd go so far as to say that, like, his ability to compete in the batter's box probably gives him an edge on the mound. And maybe that's true for Ohtani too. Right? Like, you need to really compete in that batter's box. And I think there's translation there, in my opinion.
I'm going to have to go totally left field, which I tend to do, but I had to do it because I'm hearing two-way player.
Yep.
I'm hearing 6'6", 6'5", 250 pounds.
Yep.
I'm hearing left-handed thrower. There's a guy for the Kansas City Royals right now that is struggling mightily. OPS of 35. Tore through the minors immediately, but has struggled mightily at the major league level. That's Caglione. You're talking about, he's hitting 147. He's got a 4.85 OPS, right? But 6'5", 250, left-handed. I believe he was up to 97 in college.
Yep.
While still being maybe the best position player in baseball. When does that conversation start? It's early. I mean, he just got to the majors, but it's been bad. And the ability on the mound is pretty alluring for the reasons we're just talking about with Tolle.
Alluring or special? And I think that's the key word.
I mean, 6'5", 250 with best athlete on the field throwing 97. I know the production at the college level wasn't elite, but I believe he was a Saturday starter on an SEC team while also being the best offensive player in the league.
Velocity doesn't equal elite.
Right.
That part, like, I just want to make that very clear. Like, there's all sorts of pitchability, durability, strike throwing ability. And I'm not saying Caglione doesn't have that.
Right.
But, like, there's a difference in, you think this could be special, or he's got a pretty good arm and he throws hard.
Well, and also elite athlete.
And elite. I think he would be a really good pitcher. And I think he showed flashes of that when he did pitch. But I don't know that I'm ready to just, like, pull the chute on a guy who was just, and he did sprint to the big leagues.
Yeah.
So, like, big leagues is hard though, man. Like, there are guys that they crash onto the big leagues and they have success really early, and they lead you to think, like, oh, everybody should have this kind of success, right? Like, I remember with the Marlins, like, watching Acuna and Albies just show up and be, like, best players in the game, and you're like,
right,
it skews you into thinking everybody should be good when they first get there.
Or Kurtz, you know, from his standpoint, which is the same position,
right,
same kind of trajectory.
Those guys can't be the expectation. They're the outlier good performances, because for the most part, the big leagues, you don't show up and you just hit. Even if you showed up hitting every step of the way, even up to AAA. AAA success doesn't equal major league success right away. There are good markers. You should be having, in order to have major league success, you should theoretically also be having AAA success. But AAA success doesn't equal major league success. And that's what I think Caglione is kind of running into. But in terms of, if you can find a special left-handed bat with power that plays good defense, like Caglione to me and Matt Olson, like, I'm not pulling the chute on Caglione yet. And unless I thought he was like Paul Skeens on the other side of it.
Right.
Right. Like, I don't know the answer to that question. Maybe there are those who have seen Caglione as a pitcher that could be like, well, he's that. Yeah. And then if he is that, that's why my first question was like, okay, is he a good pitcher or is he special?
Right.
Here's where I think when Peyton Tolle makes that argument, it feels kind of special versus maybe an average bat